Hey there, folks. Casual Gamer here, and today we're going to talk about how to pick your skills. I'm going to break down skills and perks into two separate videos, and the reason why I'm doing that is for one, to keep the video length into a reasonable length, but still I want to cover the skills and the perks sufficiently so that you know all of the information that you need to know in order to pick your skills and perks eventually when I get both videos done efficiently without throwing away skill points or perk points. And that's something that you need to be mindful of. So what I've done, and the reason why I'm making this video now, is because I have just reset my skill points in the stalker tree, and that is an option if you do make a mistake, and if you spend points that you regret spending. You can always go through and reset the skills or reset the perks and start over, right? There's two main strategies to take into consideration when you're picking your skill points. And like I said, today we're going to keep it limited to the skill tree. There's a stalker strategy and an ambusher strategy. The thing that you have to bear in mind when taking into consideration what skill points to spend and where is that if you notice in my stalker tree, I've got it reset. I don't have any points spent in my stalker tree at all. Your first tier, your zero tier, you can spend a point as soon as you get it, right? In tier 1, you cannot spend any points in tier 1 until after you've spent at least 1 point here in locate tracks, right? For tier 2, you must spend 5 points before you can get access to tier 2. So your 6th skill point can be spent in tier 2. And that's if, as soon as you cannot spend anything here until after you spent 5. So your 6th point can be spent here. Tier 3 is 9 points, and tier 4 is 13. And it's the same thing for ambusher. Your first point can be spent here, then it's 1 point in order to get access to tier 1. It's 5 points to get access to tier 2. It's 9 points to get access to tier 3. And there's 13 points to get access to tier 4, right? And that is very important to understand that, because you only get 22 skill points by the time you get to level 60. Once you hit level 60, you will have earned 22 points to spend, skill points. And that's very significant, because if it's 13 points to get to tier 4 in the ambusher tree, and it's 13 points to get access to tier 4 in the stalker tree, that's 26 points. So it's impossible to get both the stalker and the ambusher to tier 4. You have to pick between the two. You can only get to tier 4 in one or the other, and that's if you choose to. It's also possible to not even get access to tier 4 in either of them, because it takes 9 points. If you spend 11 points in the stalker tree and 11 points in the ambusher tree, you won't get access to tier 4 in either one. So it's just important to realize that. So when I say that there's a stalker strategy and an ambusher strategy, that's what I'm talking about. It's whether or not you want access to tier 4 in one or the other. That's what I mean. So the question is, if you look at this in the stalker, there are two, in my opinion, there are two skills that can be very relevant to you in your gameplay in the stalker tree. It's this disturbed vegetation and startle call. But you need 15 points, and this is why I have 15 points available. I just reset the stalker tree because I was using this strategy where I wanted disturbed vegetation and I wanted startle call because I do enjoy, and I wish it wasn't raining to make this video, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that sound down. Let's just shut it off. Okay. So, all right, where was I at? Now I lost my train of thought. Okay, so I like to bow hunt. So I wanted disturbed vegetation and I wanted startle call. But the reason why I've chosen to reset these is because, I'm doing the Great One grind, and it's not efficient to bow hunt during a grind like the Great One grind. So I've decided to go with the other strategy and focus a little more on ambusher, and I want pack mule. Pack mule can be extremely beneficial when you're doing something like the Great One grind, because what you get with the pack mule is an increase the base carry capacity by 15%, and that takes you up to 20 kg to 23 kg, which gives you the ability to either possibly carry an additional weapon or additional attachments for your weapons or whatever. And it could be the difference between being able to carry a tent or a tripod with you and still have enough weapons to hunt with, or not being able to carry those. So that's what I've done here. So what are my recommendations? Well, obviously locate tracks when you're in the stalker tree. Locate tracks, I would recommend getting all three locate tracks. Now, you don't necessarily, if you're progressing through the tree organically, you're playing the game, you don't necessarily want to get all 3 points in locate tracks right away. But I'm just going through. I've already got I had 15. Now I'm down to 12. So I'm just going through and picking the ones that I know I want for sure. Track knowledge is my next recommendation. So that's 1, 2, 3. So now I have 6, right? So now I have access to tier 2, and I'm not a big fan of connect the dots. Maybe that might be helpful to some people. Progressing through the games, I've never picked connect the dots, and I've never felt like I missed it. So, my recommendation is to skip this one. Soft feet, however, is very beneficial. It reduces the noise generated with moving through foliage, such as grass and leaves, reduces the noise generated when moving through larger vegetation, such as bushes and shrubs. This one is, in my opinion, very good. Now, I should also go through track knowledge. Track knowledge is important because it reveals information about an animal's gender when investigating footprints. It's always nice to know if you're, spotting some tracks, what the gender, is it male, is it female? It also reveals information about the proximate animal group size when investigating need zones. And this is something I use all the time. Like when I spot or claim a need zone, I'm definitely looking at, well, how many animals of this species are here? What's the herd size? Is this just a drink zone for one red deer, or is it a drink zone for 10 red deer? So level 3 reveals information about an animal's proximate weight and fur type when investigating disturbed vegetation. Now, I'm not going to get disturbed vegetation in this go around. So, I don't know if it still does it without that or not, but locate tracks, the directional tracking cone becomes more accurate and narrower. That's very helpful. Increases the distance. That's very helpful. The directional tracking cone is narrower, very helpful. So these things are all very helpful. But now I want to go to level 3, and this is one of my my complaints. You only get 22 of these skill points, and the game is forcing me to spend skill points on things that I don't necessarily care about. So I do find that a little frustrating, but the two that I would recommend for consideration, knowing that I have to spend one that I don't necessarily want, is either connect the dots. Some people might find this helpful. Me personally, I don't. So I pick hardened because it gains you 15% increase in health, and that can, when you're being attacked by predatory animals, this can be beneficial. So, I would recommend hardened over connect the dots. So now I have access to these. My next one, I think that endurance is absolutely essential. It calms your heart rate faster when you're after running. So, I think that this one is essential. The next one I think is essential is improvised blind. It decreases your visibility when inside bushes and shrubs. I think that this is a must-have. These two are both must-have. So now I have 4 skill points because I'm not going to spend any more. Innate triangulation, I think, is also good. It's something to consider if you end up with an extra skill point to spend and you're not sure where to spend it. I do think innate triangulation is good. It decreases the size of animal vocalization indicator in the world, making it easier to pinpoint the position of the animal that produced the call. I do think that can be very useful, but for the sake of what I'm trying to do in my grind, it's not necessarily something I care about. So in the ambusher, the idea is to get pack mule. I need 9 skill points to unlock tier 3. I only have 7, so I have to spend 3 just to get to pack mule. So where am I going to spend them? Monetary rewards, don't really care about that. I have a point I can spend. Fatal attraction, anyone can use it, but it takes an artist to do it well. Increased chance of attracting animals to your location when using callers. So this one's not too bad. I've already got 3 points spent in here. Reduces fall damage. Don't really care about that. I've already got one in here. So I can use the Scent Tinkerer. Not a huge fan of Scent Tinkerer, to be honest with you. But I think I'm going to put one in here. I still have to spend another one. So I'm going to go ahead and put duration of lures. So now I have access to here. I have 2 points that I can spend. I definitely want pack mule. And this, like I said, it gives you an increased carry capacity of 15%. So, that's good. Adds random chance of attracting a species that is not usually attracted by a particular caller, or increases the duration of the traced outline on an animal after spotting it. I do want that. And I almost wish that I had another point that I could spend to get level 2. Unlocks the ability to add a spotting outline on up to 3 animals simultaneously. I wouldn't mind having that, but I'm out of skill points, and I really, even if I could reset again, there's nothing I would change. I feel like I have to have improvised blind, and I feel like I have to have endurance. So I see no alterations that I can make, in order to get an extra point to get this second one in tag. So just to recap, the basic, there's a stalker strategy and ambusher strategy, these two strategies are based off of how many points you have to have in order to unlock the tiers. The stalker strategy is about getting disturbed vegetation and startle call, but it takes 15 skill points to do that, which leaves you only 7, right? The ambusher strategy is about it's mainly centered around getting pack mule. I think that this is a very helpful when you're doing, grinds, whether it's grinding for diamonds or grinding for, the great one. The pack mule is, I think, a very, very good strategy to employ. The stalker strategy is more about bow hunting. There are other applications, but for the most part, it's close proximity hunting. You get the ability to, make a noise and startle, the animal to get them to stop and maybe turn broadside or, something to that effect. Disturbed vegetation is mostly about your ability to find, rare fur types. So, that's mainly what that skill is for. That being said, I do want to keep this video relatively short, so I'm going to leave it at that. I thank you for watching. I will make another video about the perk tree, but I wanted to, just kind of focus in on the skills and the two main strategies that I have for picking your skills, because it's very important. You can reset your skills, but it costs a lot of money. It's $38,500 now to reset the skills or the stalker tree, and if I want to, it's also $38,500 to reset the ambusher tree. So it is a costly venture, so it's not something you want to take lightly. You do want to be careful about where you spend your skill points and your perk points. So with that being said, I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.